Hey, everybody, welcome to 2ZQ Hot Takes, where we discuss issues both big and small. I am your host, the very handsome Tim Kirk, and this time I'll be talking about Questionable Song Lyrics, Volume 2. Questionable song lyrics we woke up to with our AM clock radios in the 70s, or Why Boomers Are So Screwed Up, Part 85,000. First is Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot. Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot? Who is creeping around your back stair? It's sunlight. That is what is bothering you? And the weird thing is, Sundown is really about a hard, loving relationship that Gordon Lightfoot had with a woman somewhere in Canada. And he's upset because if it is sundown and he hears her coming home, he's going to be angry, which seems a little bit on the misogynistic side, perhaps a little bit domestic violence side. But is it sunlight, or the lack of sunlight, or just because there is no sunlight and you hear her coming around the back stairs, there's going to be an issue? And we woke up to this in the morning thinking this guy was cool. Could you imagine what kind of a downer it is to go to one of his shows, or how much of a downer it was to go to one of his shows? I mean, the other one is the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and I'll get to that in a minute. Someone had too much free time. What time of day was this anyway? What is this? Is this what life was like in Canada? I mean, did he have a moose entering his house or climbing up the stairs? I'd be more concerned about that. Then, on another song, he's saying farewell to guys on a sinking ship. Saying farewell to guys on a sinking ship? This guy makes me nervous. And what a downer. We woke up to this in the morning. Now, just about every Cher song was some weird story that would never take place in real life, but people loved it. And now everyone over 65 becomes angry when they hear, okay, boomer, but boomers were the ones who loved this crap in the first place. And I mean songs like Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. And in the 80s, didn't Sir Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson steal the pretext to say from that song? As an aside, I don't know anybody who really believed that Michael Jackson could beat that guy in an arm wrestling contest at all. I mean, back to the song, selling potions in a traveling show, traveling con artists. Elton John did it in your song too. What was all with the selling of the potions thing in the 70s and 80s music? I don't have any idea that this was a concern of people outside of Love Potion number 9. And I only know that because of the American Graffiti soundtrack. And if something smelled like turpentine and looked like India ink, I was going to have to pass. And for me, when you mention all these things about traveling shows and potions and people doing things that were less than honest, or like gypsies, I keep thinking of Maria Uspenskaya and a horse-drawn wooden caravan at a foggy campsite in the woods. I have personally never seen anyone selling any potions in any traveling shows. I have seen people selling ShamWows at street fairs, and I guess that is about as close as I will ever come. At least I don't have to be overly concerned about werewolves. But I'm asking, what the hell is going on with these people? Whose idea was this to incorporate this into popular music? You know, I'm a kid, and I've got a social studies test and math homework I should have done last night, and that I have to turn in by second period. And I'm sure there will be pop quizzes during the day, and none will be about the lyrics to Philadelphia Freedom or Nights on Broadway or Doctor's Orders. And Maggie May, that was a little adult to play on morning radio. And seriously, how depressing was Neil Young's Heart of Gold? Did you really want to wake up to that song on a school day? I mean, that just rages you with anxiety. Or, and I mean, whoa, Gilbert O'Sullivan's Alone Again Naturally about a guy who is going to commit a very dramatic suicide because he got dumped at the altar. Jilted, one might say. Oh, ha, ha, ha. And then, of course, again, back to Michael Jackson, he writes a song called Ben about a rat. So, a love song about a rat. And while I'm on the subject of Michael Jackson, the world is full of hypocrites. Every public figure who knew him, who did not make any money from his death, swears up and down that nothing untoward ever happened. But you're not supposed to talk about the allegations. You're supposedly a pedophile. You're not supposed to say anything. But if you happen to be in a club and those first four notes from the beginning of Billie Jean get dropped into the middle of any mix, people get all excited. Then they regain their composure and tisk, tisk, tisk. But they go back to party. Then, after everyone is done taking a stand and denouncing Michael Jackson as a pedophile, comes the middle of October, and we all suddenly have amnesia and start rehearsing the Thriller dance in preparation for Halloween. Everybody does this, you liars. Here's another weird one. I mean, really, this is strange. Vicki Lawrence from The Carol Burnett Show. The night the lights went out in Georgia. About a revenge murder. A revenge murder? This is a top 10 song that got played on the radio in the morning when you woke up to go to school. Granted, it is lifted from the plot of a Burt Reynolds Gator McCluskey movie. But, I mean, this was a top 10 song about a woman who kills the guys who lynched her brother in a Georgia town because somebody's wife was a hoe. And the guys who were complicit confessed to sleeping with her too, but they hung an innocent man. Then everything goes back to normal after she kills the guilty parties and tra-la-la. No forensics, no crime lab, no investigation, just business as usual. We'll just let that sleeping dog lie. They got theirs and that is good enough. Now it's time to move on from this tragedy. What? The Doobie Brothers, Blackwater. We all know that most people misunderstood I Want to Hear That Funky Dixieland. Listen, when you're between 11 and 13 years old and your mind immediately goes someplace else besides funky, we know. Come on now. Come on. Just like Wild Cherry and Play That Funky Music. We know. Geez, it's so painfully obvious already. Of course, the weirdest one to me is Tony Orlando and Dawn's Knock 3 Times. Knock 3 Times is about a stalker who has an imaginary relationship with the woman who lives below him to the point where he believes she will signal him by knocking 3 times on the ceiling to come down and make love to her, even though he sings that 1 floor below me, you don't even know me, I love you. This is not a love song. This is about mental illness. And Manfred Mann and his Earth Band's cover of Bruce Springsteen's Blinded by the Light. We know that everyone misinterpreted Cut Loose Like a Deuce. You're not fooling anyone, you know. Now, another weird one is Ringo Starr's cover of You're 16, which was an oldie. And Ringo was a man who was well over 30 with an obsession over an underage girl just like my Sharona. My Sharona was not even a high school senior. Then, of course, we heard songs like Eric Clapton's cover of I Shot the Sheriff. What's with all this violence? Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right. It's all right. John, come on now. What are you telling people? The night Chicago died, about gang warfare. What the hell are you telling people? Forget kung fu fighting. That was just silly. And all these senior citizens cheer when they hear these lyrics, and I can only think, you're weird people. Thanks for listening. See you next time. And as the kiddies say, peace out.